So let me get into the ETL Validator items. So the first one is like automatic query generation using agents, DataOps agents. So previously we used to support OpenAI and Azure OpenAI, where we directly interact with those servers, typically generate queries and rules and all these things. But now we have an embedded LLM where we ship along with our application, which has agents which supports you to just interact with it, like just ask a typical English question, some random question, and it generates you a valid query out of it. It has all the knowledge base, so about the tables, columns, the descriptions of it, the sample data, and everything with it internally. And it generates you a query based upon your questions. So why this will be more helpful is like it helps like generally the QA testers or ETL testers or ETL developers, right? Sometimes there will be like very complex queries where people will be struggling in writing those queries, joins and all, right? So this agent will help you in defining, like generating those queries using LLMs, as well as it reduces the time, and it helps you in all the cases, and it enhances the productivity as well while creating the test cases. So this is one enhancement. And coming to the other is the description generation for tables and columns. Generally, we do have all the tables and tables in the databases, right? Where few of them holds up the descriptions for the table as well as columns, but majority of the cases there won't be any descriptions or valid descriptions also. So our agent, so our LLM will support you in generating valid descriptions for table as well as columns. So this will help us in generating meaningful or accurate queries when you are trying to generate test cases. Okay, and the other part on the ETL validator side is SQL formatter. So this was a ask from many of our customers where they are writing their queries, and it's hard for them to understand if they are writing or getting a query from some other places and just copying it into our application. And it's hard for them to just analyze the query. So we added this formatter where you just click on a button on top of it, and it formats the SQL query in a structured way where you can easily analyze the query. Okay, let me switch into the live demo where I'll show you all these three features firstly. So firstly, I'll just go with the description on the data models by now. And so when we get into data models, we create a data model and we import tables from the respective connection. And once you have these tables created, and so you will have an option here where you can generate descriptions. So this is an option where you can generate descriptions. When I click on when I select these tables, so ideally we'll have like two options here. One is to retrieve sample data where we can fetch the data from this respective source, which will be used in generating rules as well as other items. So once I generate sample data, even I can view the data in my window itself. And then the next step is so right now if you see, right, you don't have any descriptions for this particular table, or if you get into this and if you see at the column level, you don't find any description fully here. So now if you go ahead and generate descriptions for these things, right, it passes. So I need to select the tables for which I want to generate descriptions and just click on this button, and the agent behind it understands the metadata of this table and generates a meaningful description for what does this table do. So if you see, right, this one shows you a description. This is a list of actors in the database along with their names, the stuff which is very meaningful to things, as well as it generates a column level description. So as we saw it previously, we used to have only description for actor ID, but now we have descriptions generated for all rest of the columns as well. So this is helpful in having this descriptions. When we created all the tables with all these descriptions and all, right, this is one area where it will be more helpful for the users to generate descriptions and all. So once we have all these descriptions and all, right, and the next step is to generate queries, right? So that will be having that option, that agent, right, that will be present in the data flows. So whenever you create a JDBC connection, right, so you will have to select the respective data source here. So what data source you are about to connect to and fetch the data. So if you get into the query tab, you will see a window here, Copilot window, where you need to select the respective data model, which has all the stuff, right? The sample data, the descriptions, metadata, everything. It holds up a knowledge base in our application. Okay. So the moment you just chat with it, right? You just send a question like, okay, I want this on this from these respective tables. So the knowledge base behind sends additional information along with your prompt to the LLM, and it generates you a meaningful query, which can directly like apply into the editor, and you can just use it and run it, and you can see the results out of it. In the same fashion, so this is another example where I generated a different set of query altogether. So if you see, right, I just ask a question like, I want customers data from beverages. It gave me a query which is a little invalid, but when I modified it a meaningful prompt, right, it started giving it gave me a valid query which executes, and I can even see the results out of it. Okay, and the other point which I was talking is about the format of SQL query. Let's say this is a SQL query, right, which is a raw SQL query. But if it is a little hard for any user to analyze this query, right? So here we'll have an option for formatting this query. It's on just a button click, it formats each and every line of query into a structured format where a user can analyze it easily.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact@datagaps.com. Request a free demo, scan the QR code below. Thank you.